This program is underwritten by the Daniel Webster Inn and Spa.
Hi everybody, I'm Melinda Gallant and I want to welcome you to another Cape Conversations. I'm in such a beautiful spot today at Heritage Museums and Gardens talking about their brand new sensory garden. So come along, let's have another Cape Conversation. I am sitting in probably the prettiest spot in Sandwich, and I'm pretty sure maybe even on Cape Cod. This is the most gorgeous place in the world, and I am sitting here with lovely people from Heritage Museums and Gardens. I am sitting with Les. Les, how are you? And Laura. Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks.
Wow, guys, did you do all this work?
I don't think we did all of the work, but we were a part of it.
You were a part of it. Mm-hmm. So, Les, what is your role here at Heritage?
I'm director of horticulture, so all of Heritage, all of the gardens, all of the land.
Excellent. And Laura, what do you do here?
My title is senior gardener, and so I am responsible for this wonderful space we're sitting in now and a few other areas around the property.
Wow. Well, I know we're here specifically for this space because you have so many beautiful places here. But first of all, you don't look old enough to be a senior gardener. I mean, what are you, 12, 13 maybe?
So I'm 28 and originally from the Mid-Atlantic area, Delaware particularly.
Sure.
Studied at Virginia Tech, and then I did some internships which have helped me get to where I am now at Winter Museum, Garden and Library.
Wow. Sure.
And the University of Delaware Botanic Garden.
Wow. Excellent.
Yeah.
So how do you like living on Cape Cod?
Well, I actually live in Quincy.
Oh, there you go. Can't find a house on Cape Cod.
Like many people in the greater Boston area, commute a good ways to work each day, but it's worth it.
But you're commuting the correct way.
I am commuting the correct way. There's never much traffic, and it's definitely worth it to come to work at a place like this.
Well, Quincy has a little more of a nightlife than Sandwich. No offense to
I can't
Sandwich.
say we partake in much, but yes, there's a little bit more going on up there.
Great.
Being on the red line is nice.
That's great. So, Les, now, do you live here in Sandwich now, or do you come from somewhere else and live somewhere else?
I live in Hyannis, and I am from the Mid-Atlantic as well, from Maryland.
Oh, yes. My gosh.
I've lived all over the country.
Oh, you have, doing gardening things.
Working in public gardens like this.
Yes. And so you're well qualified, I would think.
I hope so. I like to think I am.
Yeah, well, if this is any indication how the two of you are qualified, it certainly is. You certainly are qualified for sure. So here we sit. There's a beautiful, beautiful rock fountain waterfall. Mm-hmm. There's a boardwalk behind us that wraps around the windmill. There's a seating area down there. What is the idea behind this garden?
Well, it started as a way to get people from an upper elevation to a lower elevation, and to do that in an accessible way. And from that idea, original concept or need, it evolved to developing the space as a garden that is accessible to all, and hence the garden of the senses.
Excellent. So, when you say a garden accessible by all, obviously it does have a wheelchair component, correct?
Mm-hmm. It does.
So you can come from the main path and come down and around, correct? There's
Correct.
steps here.
There are steps, but they're not the main
Right. The
way to
main
travel.
way would be to come in on a path that's over in that direction.
Right.
And then you can go along here, right? And you're still getting all the same feeling and beauty of nature, even if you're in a wheelchair.
Right.
And I don't mean even if you're in a wheelchair, but you understand what I'm saying. It's just, some people think there's always an impediment to doing so many things, and this takes that away.
Right.
All right. So Laura, so this is a sensory garden, as we talked about. So, but what does it do? I mean, you know what I'm saying? A sensory garden. Some people go, oh, what? Is it I don't know what it would be. Does it smell really good?
You're definitely not alone. And I think reiterating the point that we are really just trying to engage everyone.
So it's an inclusion garden.
It also is an inclusion garden. It's a lot of things for a lot of people, and it's not necessarily everything for everyone, but there's a space for everyone in this garden. One of my favorite aspects of it is that not only are there high sensory spaces like we're sitting in right now, which is filled with contrasting colors. We have reds and yellows, purples, greens, very full of color and sound here. There's a lot going on. We also have low sensory spaces that are really calming and just green, and a really lush green palette that might be quieter, a space for someone who doesn't enjoy quite as much going on to be able to sit and relax. And then we try to get you in all the senses. So you'll notice the containers behind us here are very touchable. There's lamb's ear, which is really soft. There's mints. We try to get a lot of different textures going on in this space. And then we also have incorporated a lot of your kind of the first thing everyone thinks of when they think of senses, which is like smelling stuff. So we have rosemary creeping along all of our walls. We have creeping thyme planted right into the walls. And then in the other space, not the one we're sitting in, but just down the boardwalk here, we have sort of used a memory garden as our palette. So we tried to use a lot of plants that would maybe inspire memories, like cooking herbs. So parsley's, dills, rosemaries, lavender. We really just went heavy on the sensory plants and stuff that, that the sense of taste is a tough one to get in the garden because
you don't want taste it.
Yeah, you don't want people running around eating everything. Right. Not all plants are safe to eat, but in a controlled environment, maybe with one of our interpretive staff, there are some plants you might be able to taste as well. Sure.
So I was going to ask you that about lavender because I didn't see it as we were walking in, although I was coming in pretty quickly. But so do you have lavender? I mean, I'm a big lavender lover. I should live in the south of France. That's what I keep telling my husband anyway. Because they have fields and fields of lavender. Yes. And I drive the women at the lavender farm down in Harwich nuts because I'm always coming and walking through the fields, rushing my hand through. I just love it.
So you may have walked by some. It's in some of our containers. We've kind of hidden it among them. Right. And then it is also over in our Friendship Garden area.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful. And do you don't do things like cooking classes here and things like that? Do you ever, or have you thought about it
Not yet.
Not yet. Uh-oh, don't mention it, Melinda. Because Ann, the executive director, will go, hey, that's a good idea. We'll make sure she doesn't, we'll cut this part out so she doesn't say that. All right, so it took you, how long, a year and a half, 2 years?
We were about a year and a half in design. First we chose a designer, and that process took several months. And then once we had chosen the designer, we started working with them, and we ended up about a year in design. And then it was about a year in construction.
Wow.
So
wow.
We started construction on June 30th of last year, and we opened on the 14th of July.
Now this garden area and then around was generously donated by the McGraw family?
The McGraw family were a major
contributor. Right. Wonderful.
Right.
Wonderful.
Yes, and there were several others.
Oh, that's wonderful. I noticed there's a seating area just beyond you, Laura, down the hill. Is that, do you get to that from another location as well, or is that kind of like swing down, or because it's a steep hill? I wasn't sure.
There's actually a sod path that goes down that way.
Nice.
Yes. People can walk on the grass.
Yes, I was going to say,
yeah.
Don't touch the cars, but you can walk on the grass. That's right.
And once the plants grow in, it'll be much more obvious that that's a path.
Yes. Oh, that's great. That's wonderful. So, when is this open? Is it? I mean, it just opened, so it's open now, and it'll be through the fall, right?
Yes, until we close in October.
And then when you reopen, will you change the plants? I mean, obviously you'll change the plants because not all these plants survive here year-round. So will you change will it be different than this year, I guess is what I'm trying to ask.
Yeah, it will. So you've noticed some of them are definitely annuals. And we will, I think one of the best things about this garden is its adaptability. And so with opening a new garden, you don't know how people will interact with the space. So I think one of the best things will be we are out here every day watching people interact with the space, and we have some of our interpretive staff out here talking with folks, and so seeing can we change things to better serve our audience? The garden that's mostly food plants down the way that I mentioned is parsley. We chose parsley in there this year, which the groundhogs really love, so we might choose something else next year. Yeah.
I hear you. As I think I told you when we were off camera, I have that same issue. Only mine love dahlias, so they just love them. And they're getting nice and fat from them, so that's good, I guess, for winter.
So I could see even doing something like a salsa garden one year or something like that to really engage people that way, something they could take home.
So will you, so that'll be next spring. So it'll open next spring when you open in May. April. You open April. Right, that's right. Now, I know you've done some fundraising things, which isn't your Bellywicks down here, but they've done a wine in the garden or something on one night.
We're doing wine in the garden, wine walks on Wednesdays.
On Wednesdays.
Not sure that's the correct title, but yes.
You know what? Wine walks on Wednesdays work for me. So I think that's great. So if somebody's interested, all they need to do is go to your website.
Exactly.
Everything is on the website. So that's what's so important to know, right?
Yep.
Yeah, the calendar of events is definitely the place to look.
Excellent. So we've talked about how this all came to fruition and where it's going. Will it expand? Will it stay the same?
I think it will evolve.
Okay.
Gardens are all affected by time.
Right.
We plant it now, we see what we planted, we watch how these plants evolve, how they grow, how they don't grow.
Right.
And then it's an evolution.
Sure.
And it always changes.
And that's why it's so much fun to watch.
Yeah.
It's like living on a tidal marsh. It's so much fun to watch because no day is the same when you're watching a tidal marsh.
Right.
If you're really looking at it. So, are you going to, hopefully, are you going to do some other events down in here? I know you said the wine walk, which is great.
We do have programming.
Yeah. And
some
again,
of our
go to
programming staff
excellent.
will be and have been assigned to the space.
Oh,
and
nice.
are working with the public.
Oh, excellent.
To help them interpret the space and learn about the plants.
So I guess my question is, it's sensory, which there are calming plants and there are plants so you'll know the difference if you're sight impaired. You have stones along the side in case you are sight impaired and you need to know whether you're on the path or not and such. Now there's so much talk about autism with kids and adults. Are you encouraging people to bring their friends and family here to be able to experience that if they do have, these?
Of course, and that kind of ties back into what I was saying about providing those lower sensory spaces. Often those can be of very good value to the autism spectrum disorder folks. And I think, as Les was saying, we're doing our garden cart. We piloted our garden carts this year for programming in here. So we have one of our interpretive staff stationed with a cart up at the entrance to this garden for a few hours on our weekend days to really catch visitors and say, this is how you can use this space, or this is how to navigate the new garden. You can either go this way or that way.
Nice.
But we have also been encouraging our partners that helped us in the design process of this garden. So we worked with several partners like Spalding Physical Therapy.
Wonderful.
And I forget the name of the other group.
Yeah. Is it here or is it somewhere?
We worked with several partners on Cape Cod.
Riverview or the school or no? It's okay if you can't remember.
They have been involved.
I was going to say, because I would think, because they,
I'm trying to think of the name of the dementia group in particular. We worked with a group
trying
with,
to think
yes,
of them
the
too.
memory care folks.
Oh, sure.
The one area, the memory garden,
Yes.
is specifically geared toward those with dementias.
Is that right? Wow,
Yes.
that's wonderful. So you're having fun doing this, right?
Yeah. Every new garden is very fun and a lot of
Right.
hard work.
Yes. Well, yeah. Are you going? So, Les, what else you got going on in the gardens here?
At Heritage?
Well, yeah, not in your personal garden, although
right.
unless you want to give me some of your cucumbers.
Well, I mean the entire
Tips.
entirety of Heritage.
Yeah.
Well, the Hydrangea Garden is always evolving.
Right.
That,
Yes.
and you've spoken with Mal.
I have the most charming man, as I've said, in the
Yes.
entire world. And you know what? I think out of all my programs locally, it's gotten the most clear through. They watched it to the end because
Yeah.
I think they wanted to see what he said. You know,
Of
it
course.
was just, you know,
And that's always the case with Mal.
yeah,
All
yeah.
the programming that, whenever Mal's name is attached,
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
sell out. So,
Well, I love his own nickname, the Hydrangea Whisperer.
yeah. But hydrangeas are the quintessential Cape Cod plant.
Right,
And
right.
so that garden, we're still working with the partners that we've been working with, and it's constantly evolving and growing
Right.
and changing.
Now that's a special garden, though. Aren't you trying some plants to see how they do here on the Cape,
Yes.
and whether they can be sold other places and for environmental purposes, if that's the right term?
To see how well they do in
Right.
our climate.
Right.
At this latitude on Cape Cod,
Right,
New England,
right.
all of that. And we have several partners, Star Roses and Plants, Bailey Nurseries, that give us plants every year to evaluate and
Wonderful.
grow, and the public can see them and decide whether or not that's something that they like how those plants are performing, or they actually maybe aren't performing and they
Right.
don't want those plants,
Right.
which is certainly the case. And so that garden is always growing and evolving, and that's an area that Laura is also responsible for.
You got a lot on your plate.
She does. She has a great deal, and she can do it.
That's what when you become a senior. That's what happens.
Yes. But otherwise, there are lots of areas throughout the garden that we've been working on, refining and adding to and developing to try and give the public a better experience and expose people to more plants. And Laura's been a big part of that.
Do you have classes here too for people like members?
Specifically, we have our Hydrangea Success Series. That's our most education-oriented program, probably, except for our programs for younger visitors
Right,
that we
right.
do education.
Right.
But for adult education, the Hydrangea Success Series that Mal mostly runs, I'm doing one this year,
Yeah.
which I'm excited to join his team on that. But that runs from, early April through to November, a program every month or so, every other month. And it's been wildly successful. I think we find that even if people come one year, they come back the next year to relearn or re-remember
Is that
all
right?
those different hydrangea techniques.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we also have a lot of programming around our rhododendron festival.
Yes.
Oh, of
So,
course,
of
which
course,
is
we're
in
known
May,
for-
right?
It is, the last week in May.
So how did the rain affect Heritage this year? Because, I mean, I know personally,
It's a sore subject.
I know, well, nothing grew.
It's
And
been
then
a
you would go to
challenge.
the nurseries to get something. And they go, I'm sorry, we don't have anything, nothing grew.
Yeah.
So what are we going to do about this with, the whole climate change business?
Yeah,
How do we adapt?
The rain has been a challenge. It means we don't have to irrigate as much.
Well, that's true.
One
There's-
positive.
There we go.
Yes.
We're not going to waste any water.
Yes.
For us, I think the biggest challenge has been the washouts, the heavy downpours
Right.
that we're, maybe not used to or not
Right.
always prepared for, and we've been doing a lot of work to try and get the garden more able to survive those kinds of events.
Well, do you have to go in and put drainage in all of this
That's what we've
area?
been doing,
Yeah, is
adding
that right?
drainage, changing contours, trying
Wow.
to slow water down, trying to
Yeah.
collect it when we can.
Sure,
and
to
get it.
reuse, right?
Right.
Yeah. And where do you think that's going to go with how our flora and fauna moves forward in the coming centuries? I mean,
That's a loaded
I
question.
I just
Climate
heard from the
changes.
UN put out this thing this morning that, it's dire. I mean, it's so dire, and I don't mean
It
to
is.
kind of, here we sit in this beautiful spot, but all of us need to be cognizant of this. So, what do you, how do you feel about it? You're a lot younger than me, a little younger than maybe less. And I just wonder how, down the road,
I
how do
think
you
it's
feel?
dire. I think you used the correct term, and I think most people my age feel that way. We recently hosted an intern gathering for all the interns in New England Public Horticulture.
Wow.
And so we had about 50 interns come together, and we asked them, what do you want to see more of in the future as we hold this event? And one of the most frequented answers was, how do we address climate change as a industry?
Sure.
Which is a big loaded question for sure. But I
and
think
now it seems like it's on your back. And wait a minute here, it's everybody's
it is.
issue.
It's on all of our backs. But I think as a public horticulture institution, it's just our responsibility to be educating folks.
Sure.
You know, we might have gaps in our plantings because we lost plants or something like that, and just really being able to talk about it and
Sure.
be a major part of the conversation and how
Sure.
we address climate change. And I think one of my favorite spaces in our garden that you might not even have noticed as you came in is our parking garden, which is a really forward-thinking botanical initiative. We have bioswales that are collecting all of the rainwater, the gray water that comes
Right.
off the parking lot. So
Right.
it contains pollutants, salt, sands, weeds. And we take that water and collect it into these basins that are planted with gorgeous, beautiful plants, a native-inspired palette, not all natives. And we're recycling that water. We're slowing that water down, catching more of it at the source, and the roots of the plants are acting as a filter. So I think more places doing more things like that is a start. Everyone has to start somewhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Even one little thing would help.
Even one little thing, even a rain barrel at your house
Right.
would help.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting to me because they just redid the parking lot at Town Neck Beach. You probably never go to that beach because you live in Quincy.
I live in Quincy.
However,
I've been
if you
once.
right. So if you go down to the boardwalk, you'll see that they've put in curbing and they've done drainage from the parking lot and from the roadway that goes from the town side to the boardwalk. And they've got sand. They had rock, then they put sand, and then they planted grasses. And I'm sure, I couldn't figure out why they would plant the grass in there, and now you've told me it's to help filter the water
Yeah.
and
Slows
clean
the
it
water,
up.
filters it.
Right.
Yep.
I mean, so it doesn't go into the marsh.
Yeah, and it really helps with erosion, especially.
Yeah.
So the more plants you can have on a slope or a
Right.
drainage ditch, any plants will really help with erosion.
That's wonderful.
Yep.
It's wonderful that you're thinking about it, and I guess in your own way you're trying to address it here as well.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see more people thinking about it. To hear that
Yeah.
that's happening across town is great.
Okay, so I have a bad plant. It's out of my garden. I don't know how to deal with it. I don't know how to deal with it at all. Can I call here and ask you a question?
You can certainly call.
You can
Whether
certainly
we get
call
anything.
or email.
Yeah, or
Email's
send an
great.
email.
Both of our
I've got
emails
a
are
fly
on the website.
after me here, so
You do?
yeah, because I'm like, ooh, okay.
Yes.
So, but you can call here, and where would he ask for? The horticultural department?
You could probably start with the general number, and
Yeah.
someone will pick up, and then they will send it
you
to
where
us.
it goes. Okay, all right.
Or they'll send us an email.
Yes.
That often is a
yeah.
good way
Well,
to reach
yeah.
us,
I mean,
too.
obviously you guys are busy,
Right.
so you're not going to drop everything to take one phone call. But I always wondered that whether sometimes you would help somebody else. They just had a question.
We
or whatever.
do all the time.
You
Yes,
do. Oh,
yeah.
that's wonderful. So don't be shy,
Don't
but
be
don't overdo the phone banks here.
I know the Master Gardeners have a great phone line as well. Not to
here on the
plug in
Cape?
for them, but yeah,
or
they
here
do.
in Sandwich or on the Cape Cod Master
The
Gardeners?
Cape Cod Master Gardeners, as well as the
Okay.
Boston area ones, they have a Phona Gardener line where
Oh,
you can call
really?
them for help. So that's a great resource as
Oh,
well.
okay. So don't
Yeah.
always call you. You can call the Master
Definitely
Gardener.
call us, but if we don't answer, you can call them too.
All right, great. So back to this garden. What do you see when you look forward 5 years? Do you just see this expanding, being about the same size with maybe different plants, but being as friendly as it is now, or even more friendly?
I would say more friendly. I would
Okay.
say it will grow and mature, hopefully.
Yeah.
Become more of a sensory experience as the plants grow
Sure.
and mature. Yeah.
Yeah.
Fill out.
I would agree. I'd love to see our programming in here develop as well. I think as the plants mature, as we get an idea of what's happy here and what's not happy,
Right.
the changes we might need to make going forward, and then any sort of visitor engagement that we can do that is really just getting people to connect with nature. That's the whole point, right? That's
Right.
why we built it, why we want people to come and share this space with us. So
Right.
hopefully more people using it, I think, would be my goal.
And we don't want to think of it as the best kept secret.
No, not at all.
No. So the idea, how sometimes people will say there's too many people in national parks, in gardens, all these spaces where there isn't development, and they'll go, oh, you know, we're having too many people.
We
You don't
invite them
feel-
all to come here.
You want them all to come to Heritage.
Yes.
I got it. Because you're prepared to handle them.
We are.
Yeah.
Not all the same day.
That's true. Not all the same day. So you can come sometimes, but not every day. Or you come every day, but different times. That would work.
Yes, that would be great.
Are you, and you're prepared, you handle buses, I know.
We do.
And garden clubs, do they make appointments for group
They do, and
tours?
we do separate tours for them.
Oh, wonderful. So if I'm the president of a garden club and I want to invite the garden, I just call the main number here?
Yes, and our
Yeah.
groups people will take care of that, and they contact us and organize the tour.
Oh, wonderful. Do you ever have people come in and ask if they can just set up an easel and paint here?
We do, yes.
Yeah, we've had some folks that paint
Yeah.
a few
It was
times
just
this
cute.
season.
I'm married to an artist, so
Oh,
that's why I asked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Although he's a great one to come in and take a picture of it and then take it home and paint it because he can, you know, be in his slippers.
It's a beautiful landscape to paint. I
Oh,
would
it
want
is.
anyone to
Yeah,
come and enjoy
It
it.
is. Well, it's a beautiful place. I know you do weddings here and other functions as well, which is a whole separate department from you guys. But you have to keep it beautiful so people want to do that here. And that's a
Yeah.
big job.
Yeah.
It really is.
Something
A
else
huge
I love
job.
that we're doing is the art in the garden. Our human nature exhibit has been really wonderful this year.
And what is that?
So it's a collection of sculptures from different local artists, most local to Massachusetts. I think
Yeah.
our farthest is the Mid-Atlantic.
Yeah?
But we have, I think, 5 pieces this year. I'm sure you
Wow.
came by one on your
I probably
way in.
did. I was just focused on getting here so we could do this.
Yes. But they're a really interesting way in which the artists have either repurposed materials
Oh, nice.
or recycled things to really play on that human nature aspect. So bringing these pieces of art into the garden to engage our visitors in a new way.
I will. It was you. My viewers know that I worked here years ago. But one of the things that always has amazed me was in the art barn, as it used to be called. I don't know what you call it now. What do you call it now? Art barn? Up where the carousel is.
Arts and carousel.
Arts and carousel.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, there used to be going into one of the galleries. There was a piece on the wall that was done by, I think actually somebody had worked here, and they'd picked up. They made the American flag, and it was out of trash.
Trash.
Wow. I don't know if it's still there or not. Probably not. I'm sure through the years it's gone.
Should
But it was
probably know
always. Everybody would stop and go, "Oh my God!" And this was.
Wow.
I mean, it was. It wasn't that big, maybe 3 by 4, but it was always something that everybody stopped to look at because they went, "Oh my gosh!" And of course now, with all our talk about straws and other kind of plastic bags, and it'd be kind of interesting to see again. But they picked the trash off the Sandwich Beach.
Wow.
So there was, but obviously it's not here any longer. But
I wonder
think
if
about
we
that.
have it somewhere. Yeah,
It's
I
probably
haven't seen
tucked
it.
away. One of the oldies but goodies who still work here would know where it was, I'm sure. But anyway, it's always amazing to me the number of people that would stop and look at it and respond to it.
Yeah.
Because, so again, to have a place like this where you can come and it's neat and it's clean and you've got beautiful flowers, it must be a pleasure to work here.
It is.
Hard work, though.
It's a lot of
No
work.
shortage of work. But it's good hard work.
Oh, that's great. Well, I just want to thank you both for being with me today. I love coming to Heritage. I kind of always try to find any excuse. So
we
when
like to
Ann
hear.
got here, I wanted to do I got to do an interview with Ann, I've done an interview with Heather. I just love coming here to do interviews with you all. And really, this should not be the best kept secret, not in Sandwich, nor on Cape Cod, nor on the East Coast.
We couldn't agree more.
We need to get more people here. And this is one place they're allowed to come and feel calm and relaxed, and it's terrific. It's wonderful. So thank you for being so wonderful. You're
Thank you.
You're both
Thank you,
terrific.
Meredith.
Wow, what a great conversation with Les and Laura of Heritage Museums and Gardens. This place is gorgeous. Come see the Sensory Garden. Bring your friends, bring your family, invite people with disabilities to come with you because they can see it too. How great is that? I just love this place. You may just find me down here just sitting and reading a book someday. So anyway, I want to thank you for joining us, and come along again for another Cape Conversations.
This program is underwritten by the Daniel Webster Inn and Spa